Absolutely, and I believe that the field I'm working on, so brain-computer interfaces, is an example of how we can integrate, because it's kind of signal how we can integrate the person with technologies, so the real cybernetic man. So in our research, what we do is try to provide solutions for people that have severe disabilities, to help them either recover from their disability, or to provide them tools to have a more natural interaction with the world using their brain signals. One way to use the signals is that we get a big amount of data, okay, from brain signals, and we just extract things that are relevant to the task that the person is supposed to accomplish, such as, for instance, substituting the movement the person has lost, or enabling telepresence of the person.
This is an interesting question. In a sense, yes, because if you had a sensory disorder or a neuropathy or something like this, and you are able in some way, even in a partial way, to reintroduce the sense to the body, it is like a new sense, something from a rehabilitation perspective that's quite intense, something that's quite beneficial. On the other hand, I don't quite know the limit of how many senses we can manage at the same time. If you think about, for instance, multitasking, you can do 2 or 3 things at once, but if you get to start doing more, you sort of lose returns. You're not able to focus on many things at the same time.
Well, I think there is a huge amount or a big field that has to be explored, and on one side for sure we need to develop new senses for in the case of my research for robots, and understand how the humans use the senses and how do they integrate them in order to build a better description of their environment. I think there is a lot of work in this direction in order to understand how really, on one side, robots should use the senses, and on the other side, our humans do use the senses, in order also to have humans able to cooperate with robots and vice versa.
The term BCI, brain-computer interface, already goes into this direction, to use a pathway which is not natural on one side, but it is natural on the other side, that the commands, the intentions of a person will be extracted directly from the brain. So in this way, BCI or brain-computer interface can help a patient which is disabled or has another dysfunction of the brain to express himself or to interact with the environment.
Okay, I think this will be possible. I'm pretty sure this will happen, but we have no idea how to do it yet. And it's something that actually in the project that in which I'm coordinating, this Hive project, is one of the questions that we're trying to answer. So we are developing brain stimulation, non-invasive brain stimulation technologies, and what we want to test, and we are entering now this phase of the project. We want to see if we are able to, through this brain stimulation, we're able to transmit information from the outside world into the brain without going to the peripheral nervous system.
Can we develop fundamentally new senses and ways of interacting with the world?
Well, that depends on what we call senses. I can certainly think of attaching the power of infrared vision to people. But this is not the kind of research that I am interested in. Eventually I am interested in compensating or substituting, replacing natural senses that people have lost for one reason or another. This is the purpose of our research in the framework of this Center for Neuroprosthetics.
I think the key between human and computer interaction is indeed in the way our sensing system can be mixed with the sensing system that is made available to the computer. And the better this sensor system in terms of completeness, coverage of the senses, and speed, so reaction time, and reactivity in general, the better the computer and the human can work together. Whether this can help us develop additional ways of sensing the world, it depends on how well we can learn on how we sense, how we master our own senses in order to develop new ones, if I understood correctly the question.
Yes.
If intelligent device is equipped with advanced sensors that, for example, can sense stimuli that we cannot with our own senses. Obviously, if the stimuli are compatible with the same stimuli that we are invested by, then there is no problem in generalizing the type of sense towards those signals. For example, if you're using a camera that is sensitive to infrared light, obviously you can use similar mechanisms to view in the infrared range, because it's very similar to vision. But if we are talking about something completely different, like a system that is only capable of sensing, for example, motion, just like the eyes of a fly, the mechanisms that the fly is using in order to sense the environment around it is completely different from the mechanism we use to sense the environment around us. So either we understand, either that mechanism is already well understood and can be reproduced in other forms of neural stimuli for the person, or we cannot, or it's difficult to make up a new one when you don't have an exact model of the system that precedes it. So I believe that you can go beyond that by first understanding better the process of our human sensing and how we can learn how to understand other senses in different forms.
Of course, yes. You know, in our lab we are people of very different backgrounds, and we are all collaborating with robots, and I have a very good interaction with them.
Where there's lots of research examples which get me, in which people are developing new senses and augmenting human senses. I mean, even when you think about it, and we've been doing this for a long time, even the ability to, the simple telephone is an extension of our voice, or an extension of our hearing system through electronic means. So it's by no means, by no means as modern as people think. I mean, since this is not off the wall here, but if you imagine, just since humans have been fashioning the simplest tools, have been really building extensions to themselves, and I suppose in truth, you could interpret some of that as kind of an extension of their sensory and obviously motor system. Okay.
I think we can, because up to now, the way how we interacted was based on more or less our input devices we had, the keyboard and the mouse. So if we have something which is more natural to us, how we interact with other persons, it would be definitely easier for us, and we have better and faster input devices.
It's not fundamentally new, it's just new because a machine does what a human or what a living subject can do, and that is what is new in technology.
Our main aim is not to develop new senses, just substitute the real one in those people who don't have those. For example, visual